Oh man, it's Patreon video time! Hey there everyone, this is Cow, as you're probably aware if you're watching this. And we got a thing to do today, and we're gonna do it. And things happen. The art requisite I have drawn from the metaphorical hat is Kefka. I kind of forgot how he looks like, so it's probably not gonna look like him a whole lot. It's pretty great, right? How's it going? This is the start of a face. I like Final Fantasy VI a lot. It's just that, character art is not something I specifically remember a whole lot, considering the limits of the sprites they had. You didn't watch that for the quality. Well, the enemy sprite words were super detailed. Oddly enough, it's just now questions I actually remembered. I took note of who asked what, so this time you're not hiding away in anonymity. Do you sometimes work with mobile layers and use the eraser tool? This isn't a criticism or anything. I'm just wondering if those drawing videos are representative of your typical workflow. No, they are not representative of my typical workflow. I do usually use a lot of layers for all my different colors and whatnot, and yeah, well, I do, erase and whatnot, and whatnot, and whatnot. It's just that these are more like quick sketches, so that I can be done, in half an hour's time, give or take. Because normally, an image takes a bit longer to do than that, and it also takes, what's the word I'm looking for here? Takes, concentration. As long as I have, made videos while speaking while doing stuff. I'm used to doing that with video games, but drawing still requires an actual amount of concentration, which I do not have, so that's why they tend to be weird little drawing things. Don't often know what I'm doing exactly, even less than usual. But, otherwise it would have to be post, and that would be just silly. Post commentary, descriptive drawing, that would make no sense. What are your thoughts on the Mega Man franchise and how it's been basically, dead? I mean, the most we've seen in 5 years, Mega Man's inclusion in Smash. We've seen all these fan games and whatnot with so much more con love than the average Mega Man game. In example, minus Infinity. It's true that Mega Man, I think what happens is that Capcom doesn't know what to do with the franchise. Like, it's an old franchise. It's just that modern games can't really be done that way anymore, or at least that's what they think. So they get kind of trapped. I have no idea what kind of success Mega Man 9 and 10 had in terms of monetary success. I know they were well received. Back when they were relevant, I didn't have the necessary consoles and whatnot to play them, so I don't know if they're good. I have to assume they are, considering everything people say. But yeah, it's just that Capcom, being an old Japanese company, doesn't know how to react to change and stuff. And they kind of respond with utter and sheer pluralism, because right now, these days, they make money out of Monster Hunter, and Resident Evil, I believe, and Street Fighter. And you'll notice that those are all extremely conservative franchises where they don't really, they don't do a lot of new stuff. I think that's the thing. They're just kind of like, things are changing around them, don't know what to do. And it is true that I've heard the comparison that, simply the super that Mega Man has in Smash Brothers has more love and respect for the franchise than the entirety of what Capcom demonstrated in the last few years. And you know what? That is accurate. That is entirely super accurate. So accurate that I go ahead and call that a fact. It's sad, yes. It's a classic, for my brain that young me liked a lot, but things change with time, and it's something you gotta, it's gonna happen. Everything you like is gonna die one day. It's only a matter if you notice or not, or if it happens after you're gone or not. No, that's a positive thing to keep in mind during your habitual daily wibbly waggling. I believe so. That was by Koopa. Best thing to have on toast by B. Kamikaze. Peanut butter, crunchy. Who is the ghost of Christmas Ghost? Like, what is your relationship with them? Do you like Aphex Twin? In way of music, I would say... in way of music, who would say is a modern great, and or do you know of any lesser-known or underrated band of artists? Ghost of Christmas Ghost is just simply a roommate of mine. She is part of my family. No, there's nothing going on there, unless, I ain't a Midwesterner or anything. And it's just that it was for a long while, basically we both sort of had monetary stuff going, so it was mutually beneficial to just kind of like be, roommates for a while, and it just kind of stuck. Now we're both a little bit more independent, but it's still, we don't get in each other's way or anything, so we're like, might as well keep this going, and we keep this going. So yeah, it's all it is, nothing more, nothing less. In terms of music, though, I'm not the one you're going to have to ask. I am not someone who really seeks out music. I just kind of like fall into certain genres sometimes, and that's about it. Like I don't have a lot of attachment to bands and whatnot. I guess the most recent discovery I did was maybe Iron Horse, who do bluegrass cover of classic rock songs and whatnot. So if you're into that, they're pretty good. I know of Aphex Twin, but I don't have a lot of experience with their music, I'm sad to say. I'm always kind of sad when y'all, sometimes bring up this, this subject that obviously you have some hope into. You got some passion, and I got nothing to bring us. I've told you this more than once. I'm a pretty darn gosh boring dude in real life. Very specific things interest me, and the things that don't necessarily fall in that I might not be super aware of. This is not at all how Kefka looks like, but I'm kind of digging how it's turning out. Where am I? That was by Zio Masada. Not good reading out who sent the question. Do you prefer living in larger cities or in smaller towns? If you had the space, would you ever want to grow your own garden? By Alan Leland. I don't have a lot of experience living in big cities, gonna be honest. Most of my youth, my father was in the military, so we lived in PMQs, or basically like little tiny suburbs for military people, which, they look like suburbs, but they're not really. They got their own regulation and whatnot. So yeah, and once my dad quit for medical reasons, we moved in a small village, and from there, once I moved out of my, into my own self, I stayed in that village, and then I moved out to a slightly bigger city, but I'm still in basically the suburbs, so I don't know if I like living in a big city, because they seem really noisy, but if there's something I know is that you get adapted to anything. Like, my best friend back in high school, he was a farm guy, he, as a kid, lived in a farm. He moved to Montreal for study versions, and he hated it at the time. But after like 1 year, year and a half, 2 years, he pretty much told me one day that he would not be able to return to country. Like, not without some kind of shock or relearning. 'Cause no matter where you end up, you get used to it. You might not necessarily like it or not, but you can certainly survive in some fashion. And whether you want it or not, once you get used to it, you get the good, you get the bored. I just don't have enough experience to have a formed opinion. I don't think I like the noise of a city, but I know I get used to it, so ultimately, what else is there to grasp? As they say, absolutely nowhere. If you could spin jump like Mario, how do you think it would feel? Fusion Warrior. Dizzying. I wouldn't do it after eating a lunch, is all I can say to that. As much as Maggle's been going on in the latest videos, what's the best way to get into or pick up ROM hackery these days? Has it changed any since last Maggle? Ben Gibson. So Maggle X, remember Super Mario Brothers X is not a hack, it's a different program. That has changed a lot with Lua and Cinematic X, which are programs developed in the Talk House. We're probably gonna see some of the possibilities with that in Maggle X2 LP whenever that happens. In terms of ROM hacking, yeah, it did change. There's a new form of hacking whose name I forget. I think it's called like M1 or something. It's basically an even more advanced form of ASM, but I might be wrong here, and I'm sure someone was gonna pipe up and maybe give a bit more information there. But yes, there was a lot of change. It's just that nowadays, I don't know, it seems like not a lot of ROM hacks are actually being done. Like, people do little side projects, they'll do a level or two for contests and whatnot, but I just don't get the feeling like there's a lot of actual games being done no more. For better or for worse, which is really for worse. There's not really any way around that. What is your favorite kind of cat that isn't a house cat? How about favorite wild canine? Dr. Vubelskruff. Favorite kind of cat that isn't a house cat? Man, actually I gotta think about that, because most felines are pretty dang awesome. Like, I'm assuming you're opening that up to all and any felines, right? Like, you know, it's... Ocelot's pretty cool. Lynx, you know what? A lynx is, like, amazing. Great fur, super awesome ears. Yeah, that's gonna have to be my vote. Maybe normally I should do a bit more research into this. I'm not saying no to that, but yeah, Lynx would be pretty nice to have around, just so you can rub its filly and get your face mauled off. Wild canine, though, I don't really know there. I'm not a canine connoisseur. Foxes are pretty awesome, though. Should we go with foxes? Oh, fox. They got triangle ears. They got, you know, their foot, they're different colors than the rest of their legs. It's pretty nice. You know, they go rah, rah, kind of make a weird sound. You know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to make a weird sound. I recall in Giant Question Spectacular on a public YouTubes a while back that your favorite Pokemon is Marowak. Find this fascinating since you've also disclosed the personal trigger being any imagery involving skulls or bloodied face. Have you ever thought about the odd dissonance that both of these circumstances combined entail? So what kind of smartphone you use? Marowak was both that guy and Sebastian Wesley Prasky. The smartphone edition was just that guy, I believe. Yeah, that's a good point. The thing is that Marowak bones and whatnot are super cartoony. I think I approached that a little bit in my Symphony of the Night Let's Play, and that, you know, for most part, I know the skeletons, they don't bother me, but then in the Upside Down castles, you get the really realistic skull faces and, like, bull skulls too, and those were upsetting me. So, like, there's a degree of realism involved, and there's just, like, I've seen cartoon bones so much, in cartoons and whatnot, that they don't really upset me. And, well, Marowak, you know, I think he's pretty legit cool, you know, I like that he uses a weapon. He's, like, super advanced, and he's kind of cute in his own way, so that just kind of, like, overrides it, and makes him pretty awesome, at least in my opinion. I don't know. It's like, it's not a super pure trigger. Oh no, there's a concept of a bone. I'm just gonna go ahead and hide in the cellar. Needs to be believable bones. As for my smartphone, I use Galaxy S2, not Ace2. Ace2 is my mom. I'm an S2. Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's been my third year of using it. It's working alright, you know, it's been starting to bug a little bit, like in February, so it lasted a long time. Even then, it's still super usable and everything. So I do not have any regret with that at all. Why is there Mario scenery here? That makes no sense. Do you listen to any podcasts? What do you love and hate most about the internet? Micofire. Listen to Giant Bomb podcast and a lot of their premium stuff. Idle Thumbs are alright too. I think that's about it, really. I used to listen to more, but they pretty much uphold all my podcast needs because they tend to be pretty long. So usually, because I usually listen to podcasts while working on comic pages. I can usually split a bombcast in two, a premium cast and whatnot, everything together, and I'm alright. So yeah, I like the bombcast. Of course, yeah, it's not the same since, once Ryan died, and second once Vinny moved to the east. It's still good, it still has quality. It still amuses me. It's not as let's call it an automatic referral as it used to be, but it's still pretty good. I guess it's alright. It's still okay. I like the internet as a whole. I like how it can, furnish this whole sense of information being grasped around, all over the world. Basically, it's the old image, the old metaphor of the global village. That's what enables it, is the ease of communication. Of course, that's the downfall too, because you give that power to normal people, it gets abused in the grossest way. Things like doxing and whatnot. I'm sad that can exist now. Swatting, that's super gross. I hope that this can be formalized into law so that people get punished for it. I know people don't like to add all legalities to laws to the internet and whatnot, but I think it has to be done at some point. It's just afterwards it's the aspect of restraint and whatnot. It's a big bowl of fish. There's no super answers, unfortunately. But yeah, the ease of reach of information, regardless, in communication with people all around the world, is at the same time its greatest strength, but leads to its biggest non-strengths, hate stuff. What is your current desktop background? Where do you find them, and how do you choose them? Willhart. Let's see here. If I just minimize this, we'll be able to see much. Yeah, I didn't think so. It's good, but I suspected as such, so I went ahead and actually opened it up here, just so you can see. It's currently it's this little group shot from Sayonara Zetsubu Sensei. Still one of my favorite anything in ever. Yeah, I took the time before recording to put that aside because I knew that question was coming up, because I gotta read the questions before I put them in my text file here. Let's see the text file. Look at this exciting text file. Oh, yeah, text files. So So you'd think I'd be prepared for more questions than that, but obviously not. There's really no rhyme or reason about how I find them or whatever. Sometimes, stuff I like, I'll seek out fan art of it, see what people are making with it, and, Tumblr or whatnot, and sometimes I'll find something I like to see, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I can see myself looking at this a lot in the next few days, and that's pretty much all that goes into it. There's really not any more thought in that. Sayonara Sensei Zetsubu is probably one of my favoriteest thing in a while. I just wanted to go ahead and put that out, so you can put that out, in wherever you guys store your information now, whether it be TV tropes or something, like top 5 thing ever. Just anything ever, like hamburger grill on a barbecue is number 1. Warm sheets, heavy sheets in the cold night, number 2. Number 3 is probably the internet. 4 and 5 is probably cats and SCs, as just kind of like fighting out over the spot. Just the concept of the show is super intriguing to me. I'm kind of sad that it's finished. It's a completed concept, as it were. won't be anything new, but it's so good. I don't feel like I have time to go into it since we're already at 20 minutes. But yeah, it's a show I have no problem suggesting. It can be found sub in places where it can find gray area translation subs. Do you prefer using the stall or the uniroll in public restroom? I prefer to use the stall because I am one of those timid peers. Kind of guy I am. You Ruse Bogies. Ruse Bogies? Russ Bogies? I don't know how you pronounce your name, sorry. Were you ever into turn-based RPGs a la FF Tactics or Shining Force? Crispy. I wasn't. My farm buddy was. I wasn't that much. I was way into Ogre Battle, if that counts somewhat. But my affair with strategy games kind of started and stopped there. Ogre Battle's pretty good, though. I don't know if it counts as turn-based, because it was a map with, units moving around. Like, I know what you're talking about. Like, I played Langrisser way back in the day. I think that's kind of what you're talking about. I get it, but I didn't get it at the same time. This might be oddly specific, but I'd love to know what actual hardware you use on your PC. Well, if you've set it up to contain backups previous LP, can't really help you out there because my computer's a pre-made gateway setup from like 2007 or something. So I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd, Mathieu Fournier, but I'm not a computer nerd. Ahoy! Do you plan on keeping the Lex Cortex a one-time thing, or is it possible that maybe that Mab in the throat more D&D is gonna come up? I'd really love to see that happening. Leo Ixgrok. Sorry if I destroy that. Well, as far as I know, we're gonna at least go through the campaign. Afterwards, I have no idea. It's been super fun playing it. I'm glad that some of you are enjoying it. We'll see what the future holds there. Once we end the campaign, I'd love to continue it. Just not, since it requires, also a bunch of other participants. I just don't want to go ahead and confirm or affirm anything that I can't really at this point, What did you eat for breakfast, Tane? I ate Frosted Flakes and a bowl of milk and also chocolate milk. I am a quality person. What was your most recent obsession? Obsession? I don't know. I guess I played Hearthstone a lot more than I should, to the point where sometimes I put maybe streams out, for kind of background noise, and sometimes it kind of turns into more than just background noise, so yeah, I guess that would count. Sorry about that. It was by Alex. I asked this 4 million years ago in a talk house, but you never answered. Sad emoticon. I apologize about that exasperation. But now that I've got you cornered, about how long did it take you to make What the Hell? I have no idea the original reason why I was so curious about this. I spent on average an afternoon per level section in What the Hell, so you can kind of do the math that way. Assume about 2 or 3 hours of work per section, at a roughly 3 sections per stages, with more in the latter ones. I forgot how many worlds there are, but you can do the math that way and get kind of an idea. Do you have a favorite Toku series or movie? Adam C. Referring back to the question about, movies about rubber suit people back in the day. Well, I don't know, they still make those? Yeah, kind of. Favorite series, man, I don't know, kind of putting me on the spot here. I don't know what to say there. Is it bad to say that I just really like Godzilla and all the other giant monster things? It's not something I like them in concept. I don't got a super huge amount of experience though. So sorry if my answer is kind of vanilla, but it's more due to ignorance more than anything. And one last question to end it all. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it on the screen for no reason. Oh. How often do you switch between speaking French and English throughout the day? Do you prefer speaking one over the other? Which do you find you use more when out in public? Like at the grocery store, etc. Conaroo. Neutral, I think in French. If I start to think about LP, business-related things, or things about the internet, I will actually be thinking in English. You can kind of tell if you're really qualified as bilingual if you can think in the other language, which is something I legitimately can. Sometimes I dream in English. It's not really something that's conscious, though. It just kind of happened. I wouldn't say I have any preferences, honestly. It's just thing that happens. I mean, if anything, it's an advantage because some words are more tailored to conceptualize certain things. You know, I'll just go to one that's more obvious for it. But like day-to-day lives and stuff, I'll probably be in French. However, mind you, this is partly because I live in Quebec. If I lived in a French province, or an English province rather, or like the States or something, I would probably think more in English. Surroundings, you know, they have an effect. In my apartment, I speak in French with my roommate, but, you know, I have no problem speaking in English over Skype and whatnot. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. There's no preferences here. There's no going back. There's no piloting a giant truck with a drill in front. That has absolutely nothing to do with what was spoken of here. I don't even know why you didn't bring that up at all.